Behind the deadly shooting last night at a Lafayette movie theater. Police say the gunman opened fire about 20 minutes into the film, killing 2 people and wounding 9 others before taking his own life. Officials identifying the gunman as 59-year-old John Russell Hauser. Officers describe him as a, quote, drifter and say he intended on killing and getting away with it. We don't really know why they're saying that at this point. The Associated Press also reporting that his family removed guns from his home back in 2008, citing his unstable mental state. Joining me now is Steve Rogers, a retired lieutenant detective for the New Jersey Police Department. Steve, what strikes you most about what's emerging of the profile of the shooter and the crime he chose to commit?
The motive. The police have to find the motive in order to get into this individual's head. You know, crimes like this are nearly impossible to prevent. But once they find the motive, it may give the police an idea of what led him to commit such an atrocious act.
We're learning that the family applied for protection against this individual. The description of him as a drifter is one that is difficult to discern right now. In some cases, it sort of makes it confusing as to why he was even in the area.
Well, I've got to tell you, I really commend the family, and this is what we've encouraged people to do. You know, we always say when you see something, say something. They saw something in his life that was troubling. They removed the weapons. What else could they do? They did the best they could to try to prevent him from committing this act. And as a drifter, well, you know, maybe going from hotel to hotel, city to city, which tells me that could he have been planning something a long time?
Interesting.
And then he decided that this would be his target.
And the question about the movie theater as well, it's still so fresh in all of our memories, the Aurora shooting at a Colorado movie theater. That theater, you're not allowed to carry weapons. I was looking into concealed carry laws in the state of Louisiana. They're more liberal than other states, but the theater itself has a policy that you're not supposed to carry weapons, which begs the question if this shooter knew that ahead of time.
Well, think about this. Think about the shooting we had with the Marines that were killed. There was a sign there that said gun-free zone. How ridiculous. You're letting individuals know who want to commit these acts that there's usually no one in those theaters with weapons to defend themselves. Thank God there were police officers there. But look, I think...
Which happenstance, by the way. That wasn't... They were just happened to be nearby, yes. And the response was very fast. Absolutely.
And I think it's time that we really look at the Second Amendment again. And look, I'm not one of these people that go out there and like a stormtrooper saying we've got to do this with guns and that with guns. But I've come to understand that we're at a point in time in history where people are no longer going to be able to depend on the police because of manpower issues, etc., to defend themselves. So only the bad guys are getting the guns.
It's interesting to hear that from you, as someone who works as a detective for a long time, to have that perspective.
Look, I don't like guns. I only had to use it once in a shootout in my lifetime. I don't like them. They're dangerous, but they're a necessity today.
Let me ask you this. Just stepping back, as a mom, as someone who likes going to the movies, I'm sure a lot of people out there think about this, especially after the Aurora shooting. Now, after this, I look at movie theaters in a different way, and I don't want to do that, Steve. I don't want to let the bad guys win and scare me from going to the movies, but you have to admit, it is unnerving. What would you tell our viewers who feel the same way?
Well, you know, it's a tough thing to answer. You know, you can only do the best you could in life to protect your children. And look, I'm not saying this as a cliche, but I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in God. I believe we really need to just pray for our children, pray for ourselves, and, you know, let the good Lord guide us. And that's not a cheap way out. I really mean that.
We appreciate that. Sometimes I don't think we get enough of that into the conversation that we have about all of this. I want to ask you about one other crime we've been following this week because it's made a lot of news. And this has to do with a man in West Virginia who was killed by the woman that he was attacking. Now, police investigating other crimes in Las Vegas are looking at him as potentially guilty of crimes in that area as well. When you look at these sort of crimes, that's one's happening in West Virginia, and then you're looking at a completely other part of the country. How difficult is it to tie this man who's now dead to some of these other crimes?
Well, they're going to have to. I believe every cold case in America is now going to be reopened. I worked on one for 25 years and was unable to solve it. And the first thing that I thought of, could this be the guy?
Well, of course.
So they're going to have to reopen every case. They're going to look at all the evidence that they've gathered in each case. They're going to profile every victim, the size, the weight, the ethnicity, etc. of these victims, and do the best they could to piece it together.
Hopefully some of those cold cases will be solved. It was one we're following very closely. We've followed it all week, so we want to make sure that we continue to watch it. Steve, great to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
John?
You like